Once upon a time, there lived an old woman named Rose. She was a widow and had no child of her own. Her late husband had left her a small, lonely hut at the edge of the village, and that was where she lived all by herself. From the outside, she looked like an ordinary old woman, but deep inside, Rose was full of wickedness and bitterness. She was not a happy woman. Every day, she would sit alone in her hut, talking to herself, mumbling strange things that no one could understand. People in the village avoided her because they believed she was not normal. What they didn't know was that Rose was a powerful witch. In fact, it was Rose who killed her own husband and used him for sacrifice in her secret witch kingdom. Since then, her heart had become darker, and she hated to see people happy. Anytime Rose heard people celebrating good news like a marriage, childbirth, or success, her heart would burn with anger and jealousy. She hated joy, she hated love, and she hated progress. She wanted everyone to be as miserable as she was. One day something terrible happened. A beautiful young lady in the village was getting ready for her wedding. The whole village was excited, and the air was full of joy and music. But Rose, filled with envy, couldn't stand the happiness. As the young bride walked to the market to get her wedding beads, she passed by Rose's hut. Rose came out, pretending to smile and greet her. The innocent girl greeted her back kindly, not knowing what was about to happen. Suddenly, Rose stretched her hand, whispered some dark words, and turned the young lady into a goat right there on the road. People around screamed in shock. Some ran away, but others gathered quickly. One brave man saw everything and shouted, "This is the work of a witch." The villagers were angry. They couldn't take it anymore. They tied Rose up and took her to the village square. The elders gathered, and after a short meeting, they declared that Rose must be chased out of the village forever. They didn't want her evil near their homes again. Rose was dragged into the forest and left there alone, with a strong warning never to return. The villagers hoped that would be the end of her wickedness, but Rose didn't stop. Instead, she grew more bitter and dangerous. She built a new hut deep inside the forest. She vowed to take revenge on anyone who entered her part of the forest. "If any man enters this forest," Rose said aloud to herself, "he will not go back with his manhood. I will cut it off, roast it, and eat it." She laughed out loud like a mad woman, and the sound of her laughter echoed through the dark forest. From that day on, no man who entered the forest ever came back the same. Rose had now become a terror in the forest. After she was banished from the village for turning a young bride into a goat, she settled deep in the thick, dark woods. Her heart grew even colder and more dangerous. No one dared to go near her. But what the villagers didn't know was that Rose had started doing something far more wicked. She began to feed on men's manhood. Any man who mistakenly walked into her forest would never come back the same. Rose would catch him, tie him up with charms and ropes, and then use her witch powers to cut off his manhood. After that, she would roast it over fire, season it with forest spices, and eat it with joy, smiling as if she was eating a royal meal. The villagers noticed something strange. Men were going missing, and the few who came back were too ashamed to speak. They hid in their houses, weak and afraid, never speaking a word about what had happened to them. But soon, whispers began to spread. Everyone started saying the same thing. If a man enters the forest, Rose will eat his manhood. Anger began to rise in the village. The men gathered one early morning with the elders, holding cutlasses, spears, and fire. They marched into the forest to end the evil once and for all. They went deep into the woods, searching everywhere for the wicked woman. They wanted to find her, tie her up, and burn her alive to put an end to the abomination. But they didn't know that Rose had already disappeared. Clever and cunning, Rose had moved to another forest in a different community. From her new hiding place, she watched the villagers wander around, confused and angry, searching for her in vain. She laughed loudly, her voice echoing through the trees. "You fools," she said with a wicked smile. "You can search forever. You will never find me. You were the ones who sent me away? Now you're looking for me again? What more do you want from me?" She walked in circles, her hands raised to the sky, laughing like a mad queen in her dark kingdom. Then her face turned serious. She stood still and shouted into the wind, "Let me warn you all. Nobody should come near this forest again. If you do, you will not only lose your manhood, you will lose your life. And from that day, the new forest became even more feared than the first. Men from nearby villages were warned never to walk close to it. Hunters stopped hunting in that direction. Even birds avoided flying over it. It became known as the Forbidden Forest of Rose. But Rose was not done yet. She was still hungry, still wicked, still waiting. Rose the Wicked Widow had now settled in the second forest far away from her village. But her evil didn't stop. In fact, she became more dangerous. Every day she waited like a hungry lion, watching for any man who entered the forest. And whenever a man walked into the forest to fetch firewood, hunt, or even pass through by mistake, Rose would strike. She would use her charms to make the man fall into a deep sleep, then steal his manhood without mercy. After that, she would roast it slowly over fire, seasoning it with salt and pepper, licking her lips in satisfaction. She dried some of them and kept them in a hidden basket, calling it her special meal. Rose had no shame, no guilt, and no fear. The forest became a graveyard for men's pride. Soon, the men in the nearby village became afraid to enter the forest. But not all had heard the story. One day, a young man named Obi went into the forest to fetch firewood for his sick mother. He was strong and hard-working. He gathered a large bundle of firewood and returned home. But just as he was about to take his bath, he noticed something strange. His manhood was gone. "Ah, what is happening to me?" Obi cried in confusion and pain. He ran from one herbalist to another, but none could help him. Finally, someone told him about a powerful native doctor named Dibia Okeke. Obi rushed there, weeping and begging for help. After performing some rituals, Dibia Okeke's eyes opened, and he spoke in a deep voice. "You have been attacked by a witch named Rose. She lives in the forest where you fetched firewood. She has stolen your manhood and is about to roast it now. But listen carefully, there is still hope." Obi fell on his knees. "Please help me, Great One." The native doctor continued, "Take this sacred water with you. Return to the forest quietly. If you find her before she roasts your manhood, pour the water on her. If you do, she will die instantly, and your manhood will return to you. Go now. Time is short." Obi wasted no time. He ran into the forest, trembling but determined. As he got deeper into the bush, he saw smoke rising from a corner. He followed it slowly and carefully. There she was, Rose. She sat near a fire, laughing and dancing, holding several manhoods in her hand, preparing to roast them. Obi saw his own among them. His heart beat fast. He tiptoed closer and with one swift move poured the sacred water all over her. Rose screamed loudly, shaking and rolling on the ground. Her skin began to burn, and her body turned to ashes right before Obi's eyes. Instantly, all the manhoods she had stolen vanished into thin air, gone forever. But Obi looked down, and his own was back, strong and whole again. He knelt down right there in the forest and began to thank God. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for saving me." He shouted with joy. Obi ran home, full of excitement. He shared his story with the entire village. That day the people rejoiced and danced. Rose's evil had finally come to an end. From that day, the forest became peaceful again. Birds returned to sing, and hunters could now go in without fear. Obi became a hero, and his story was told from village to village. Moral lessons: 1. Evil can never win forever. No matter how long it takes, justice will always come. 2. Avoid jealousy and bitterness. They can turn a person into a monster. 3. Be prayerful and spiritually alert. Wicked people exist, but God is stronger than all of them. 4. Be kind to strangers. You never know who might be a helper in disguise. Thank you message. Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers, for following Rose's story to the end. I hope you were blessed, entertained, and taught valuable lessons. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your loved ones. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so now and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our exciting folktale stories. More powerful stories are coming your way. Stay safe, stay blessed, and always remember, good always wins in the end.